think no end to the amount of depravity that some people have in them when narcissism is what rules one's life. This is a story about a Pennsylvania woman arrested for allegedly poisoning her boyfriend's 1-year-old daughter. Why,
oh, my God.
Why would you poison someone's daughter? Especially your boyfriend. Not giving you enough attention? Let's go after the daughter? Is that... Unfortunately, I think that's the reality with some insane people.
Well, how do you take a look at this situation and go, okay, if I kill the daughter, because she's obviously a pain in my ass and she's ruining my relationship or whatever the fucked up reason is.
Well, how a 1-year-old ruins a relationship is a good question.
Well,
sorry,
maybe she's not into kids.
Yeah,
I could see a 1-year-old just being a constant, oh my God. But
well,
that's why I chose not to have kids.
Then that's on the adult. It's not on the kid. That's on the person not handling a child, in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly. So how do you look at the situation and go, if I kill the child, my life will be better?
Because in their mind, they're not looking down the road far enough. They assume that they will get away with it. And it'll just be eliminated. They'll never have to speak of it. And they're totally cool with that. They're totally cool with, well, that's life. It's horrible. And then they can be also probably a bit of a savior and a bit of the shoulder to cry on and be there as the boyfriend goes through the tragedy of something like that. And then they, it's like a win-win if you're insane and you're an evil person. But if you're not insane and not an evil person, it's a horrific crime and unimaginable to do. But if you put yourself in their shoes, it's like I get all the attention now. I'm going to be looked at as, oh, I can be there. It'll strengthen the relationship and this headache of mine on the side will be gone. That's how the crazy person's looking at it.
I don't understand how you can't look ahead and go, maybe 100 years ago, you could get away with a crime like this. But now in today's world, there's cameras, there's tracking, there's all kinds. You can't do stuff like this. DNA. I mean, there's all kinds of evidence.
Oh, today.
So how can you look at this and go, well, this will turn out well?
It's really interesting because I think it's something that if one looks back in their family tree and you look at everything and like in great detail, like, oh, that was a weird death at this age. Like, what happened? Oh, they got sick. It makes you wonder how these people existed back then too. We just didn't have as easy ways of proving their evilness. It makes you wonder, like how many times, how many murders and homicides have been committed by people that never were caught for it. And it was looked at as, oh, this or that, and they're a great person and the rest of their life. I mean, that's a real interesting thing that is likely taken place quite a bit in our history.
How many cousins have been snuffed out just because it was like, this isn't working out. And back then, we'll just say they died, harvesting grain or something, or what, picking corn or whatever it was out in the field. They must have succumbed to the heat.
I can't tell you the amount of times I heard the word farm accident.
Right? I mean, I bet this happened a lot. You're right.
Like it was a farming accident. Really? I mean, how many? I guess he got run over by the combine. I mean, how did he miss it? How did that happen? I mean, there's a lot of ways that those sort of things can happen too. But no, it does make you wonder a little bit. This happened 100
years ago with a horse and a plow. That might have been a little harder.
I'd say 40 years ago, you could have gotten away with a lot of these things. 20, 30 years ago, you could have. But thanks to DNA technology and such, they can now bring those things back to light and figure out who did what. This one goes back to June of 2023. Pennsylvania woman, Alesia Owens, 20 years old, arrested in connection with the death of her boyfriend's 1-year-old daughter, Iris Alfera. Prosecutors have charged Owens with multiple offenses, including criminal homicide, alleging that she poisoned the young girl with household items. Pennsylvania Attorney General Michelle Henry made the announcement regarding the arrest. The incident dates back to June of 2023, when emergency responders were called to the home of Iris's father in Newcastle, located northeast of Pittsburgh. At that time, Iris lived with her father and Alesia Owens. Responders found the 1-year-old child unresponsive. Iris was immediately transported to a local hospital for medical attention and subsequently airlifted to UPMC Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. Tragically, she did pass away on June 29th of 2023. The cause of Iris's death that was determined Through the autopsy concluded by medical examiners, it revealed that she succumbed to organ failure caused by acetone poisoning, a devastating condition, acetone poisoning.
So I am just adding to the list of the ridiculous licenses that I have. I'm a licensed manicurist. We use acetone all the time.
Yeah.
I don't practice, but I've had the license since 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly just use it so I can buy some really nice shampoo at a discounted price at the beauty supply. But acetone is something that is pretty toxic. It probably was a very painful fucking death. I'm going to say that because I've taken nail polish off my nails and then like maybe licked my finger and been appalled at the taste. And it's just disgusting and horrible. So I can't imagine poisoning somebody with this substance. It's horrible.
It's like paint remover, basically.
Pretty much.
I mean, because it's nail polish remover, essentially.
But here's the thing. I don't know if this was 100% acetone, which you can find. You may actually need a license to buy that. That's what I have in my cupboard.
Uh-huh.
That is some wicked shit. The stuff you find like at Target to remove nail polish remover is not 100% acetone.
Yeah.
This stuff is really, it's toxic. It's flammable. It's all the things.
It's like the stuff you buy at Home Depot for paint stripping.
Correct.
Like, yeah. Investigators from Newcastle Police Department uncovered evidence suggesting that Alesia Owens had researched household products with fatal potential for children in the months leading up to the tragic incident.
Again, it's your
Google.
goddamn search history.
And
Stop it, people.
You're 20. Like, you were born with this technology. It's existed your whole life. What the fuck's wrong with you? According to the Attorney General's office, Owens conducted numerous online searches between February and June, specifically relating to circumstances of the toddler's death. The searches allegedly included inquiries about household products that could prove deadly to a child, such as water beads, batteries, and nail polish. Owens' online queries also featured phrases like beauty products that are poisonous to kids and medications leading to accidental poisoning deaths in children. It's a creative way of going around it, not going, how do I kill my kid using household products? It's like, I'm doing research on the dangers of these things. Furthermore, it's come to light that Alfera had been hospitalized several months before her untimely demise. During the previous hospitalization, she had ingested several harmful objects, including approximately 20 water beads, batteries,
What's a water bead?
And a metal screw. It's those little things that you put, they're very tiny, and then you pour water in with them, like in a bucket or something, and then they look like bobas, like the
they expand?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm looking them up. They're a absorbent polymer crystal. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of neat, but the thing is, if you like ingested the water bead, especially before it was a water bead, it will turn into a water bead it'll expand in you. And yeah, something, I mean, it's like one of those, like, kids love these things because they're kind of funky and weird, but it's like, it's also one of those where it's like, remember, like, it's basically today's version of jarts. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have done that. That was not a good thing
Right?
to give the kids to play with.
And kids put things in orifices, so I can imagine these would end up their nose, in
everywhere.
Their ears.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Lawrence County Children and Youth Services were alerted following the incident. No charges were initially filed, as reported by the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Currently, Alesia Owens is being held at Owens County Jail, having been denied bail. The circumstances surrounding the case are very tragic, obviously, leaving the community in shock. Pennsylvania Attorney General Michelle Henry expressed her sentiments, stating the details of this case are heartbreaking. It's hard to fathom someone taking deliberate steps to harm a completely helpless child, then mislead investigators about what happened. 100%. And she's one. So how you get 20 water beads in, I mean, again, like, if you're leaving this shit around, yeah, the kids could eat it. And I'm wondering if that's what she did. I mean, kids get into stuff, but this, like, water beads, batteries, and a metal screw, I'm guessing these things were kind of left out, like, oh, maybe, maybe she'll get into it, and then got into it.
It feels a bit deliberate, because unless kids, maybe I just don't know kids very well, you stick something in front of them, some kids want to eat it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some dogs eat rocks. I've seen that. It's weird.
Some dogs eat rocks. Yeah. No, it is true. And no, I mean, it is. I mean, you have to if you're a parent, you got to kind of always have your guard up of, think, well, what could happen here in this situation? It's like having a pet, to a certain extent. It's like around, like there's certain rooms that my dogs go in and hang out in. And especially when I'm gone, the places that they hang out in, I need to make sure that there's not certain things there that they could get into that could hurt them, because inevitably they'll get into them. And you have to do the same thing with kids. It's child-proofing a home. You don't leave shit out that the kid could get into and potentially harm themselves without knowing any better, just like a pet.
Yeah.
But there's so many parents that are just so narrow-minded and focused on themselves that this eludes them, or even more narrow-minded and focused on themselves that it doesn't elude them, and they know exactly the dangers of these things. And if they don't want the kid around, well, then they got a scenario that they can set up. And, would it not be for her Google searches, she probably would get away with it.
Oh, yeah. It might have just been, I'm just not good at this. I didn't realize that this kid was going to eat these things. I had no idea.
It looks like she had attempted it earlier and then eventually had to go all the way to the nail polish remover. But yeah, that's just what's going to get you because it's poison, and the kid probably wouldn't voluntarily consume that unless it was mixed in with something, I'm guessing. But what a weird one to mix in. I mean, I think you're going to get away with it. I don't know. Obviously, if you think you're going to get away with it, you're that dumb to begin with to do one of these things. You're not the brightest bulb, but sometimes they're not that dim either. They're just evil and bright. And I think that might be what we're dealing with right here. I don't know why that music started playing.
Well, because you just mentioned that she was evil, so the evil music just kicked in. Like, it all made sense
it's
to me.
almost like the Dateline gods are around me. Like all of a sudden Keith Morrison will start speaking. Like, yes, it is. But yeah, evil is evil. And I think that's an example of it.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on True Crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.